It started with a Porsche, right in the middle of my alfalfa field, gleaming like it was posing for a magazine cover. I nearly dropped my coffee when I saw it just sitting there, like someone had parachuted it in for maximum disrespect. And tucked under the wiper was a note. Thanks for the space. Excuse me. What space? This was my land, not a mall parking lot. I scanned the field for the idiot responsible, and sure enough, there she was. Blonde hair, yoga pants, designer sunglasses, and that unmistakable air of HOA royalty. She waved at me like we were long-lost cousins, not total strangers. Hi there. Hope it's okay, she chirped. The GPS said this was open space. I told her, as calmly as I could muster, that this was a working farm, not overflow parking for suburban brunch. She tilted her head, smiled, and said, "But you weren't using this part, right?" That was my first real taste of Barbara. Barbara Newhall, president of the Cedar Ridge HOA and, apparently, delusional. She introduced herself like it meant something, then laughed when I asked her to move the Porsche. Said she had errands to run and would pick it up later. When I threatened to call the sheriff, she smirked and said, "Go ahead. My brother-in-law is the sheriff." I walked away before I said something I'd regret. See, I moved back to this land 5 years ago after my husband passed. Rebuilt the barn, raised goats, grew alfalfa. This land was my therapy, my peace. And Barbara was about to bulldoze right through it with HOA entitlement. That afternoon, 2 more luxury cars showed up. Lawn chairs were spread out like they were tailgating a polo match. Her friends were sipping drinks, pointing to some HOA map that showed my field as undeveloped community greenbelt. When I told them it was private farmland, one of them said, "Well, maybe you should fence it if you don't want people using it." That night, I sat on my porch thinking about my father's old road permit legal access path from our barn to the county highway, granted in 1978. It had never been developed. Until now. If they wanted access, I'd give them access. A big, loud, undeniable road. I dusted off my dad's old road grader and mapped out the line straight from the barn to the main road. Through their little picnic setup. Past the Porsche. Straight to justice. By sunrise, the roar of the machine echoed across the valley. I was cutting a path, and nothing, not even a luxury sports car, was going to stop me. Barbara came stomping out, robe flapping, mimosa in hand, shouting about community visual harmony. I showed her the permit county seal and all. She waved some HOA cease and desist letter at me. I told her she could use it as a fan once the dust started flying. Then, in the pettiest move I've ever witnessed, she parked the Porsche directly in the grader's path, rolled down her window, and dared me to go around. So I called in a favor. One truckload of concrete later, and that Porsche was encased in a perfect roundabout. Never touched the car. Just surrounded it. Smooth, even, legal, and very, very permanent. Barbara sat in her car like it was a throne of entitlement. Until the sheriff himself showed up. And guess what? He wasn't her brother-in-law. Not even related. In fact, he was an old friend of my dad's. He read the permit, looked at the road, walked a slow circle around the trapped Porsche, and said, "Well, ma'am, looks like you're the one in the way." Barbara didn't have much to say after that. Days passed. Neighbors dropped by, offered help, brought pie. Someone stuck a plastic flamingo in the Porsche and labeled it Exhibit A. Kids rode bikes around it like it was a sculpture. One even asked if it was art. Why not? The county came out, loved the road, and fast-tracked it as a rural tourism trail. I called it the Farm Justice Trail. Put up signs like "No HOA beyond this point" and "Caution, entitlement crossing." Barbara. She vanished. Moved out weeks later. Left the Porsche. I turned it into a centerpiece, painted it with goats and sunflowers. Folks now take selfies with it. Someone even donated a bench with a plaque that reads, "In memory of HOA audacity." The road is mine. The piece is mine. And the message is loud and clear. Sometimes, the only way to defend what's yours is to pave a path so undeniable that no amount of arrogance can stand in the way. So, what would you have done? Would you have gone around the Porsche, poured the concrete? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your take on HOA drama, entitled neighbors, and standing your ground.